In most of the cases, WLAN issues are going to be configuration issues, either on the client side or on the SSID side. So when you are in the controller, you can go straight to your top WLANs, and here you can see if you have clients. That's always a good sign, because if you have clients, then something is working there, right? So the issue may be more rather on the client side than on the controller side, unless all your clients are misconfigured. But if you go here and you see clients, well, then look at the clients. But if you see no clients, then you may want to check the SSID configuration. And keep in mind, I keep saying SSID, but it's WLAN, and WLAN is a profile name and an SSID name. The profile name is not the SSID, and it's not what is broadcasted. So here, so far, we've been using the same for the profile and the SSID, but it's also very common to use a different value, so check the SSID value, not the profile value. So let's look at test 2, for example. I'm trying to connect to it, and I'm trying to look for it, and it's nowhere to be seen on my client. Okay, so I may have some clients on test 2, but obviously something is wrong. So if I go back to my SSID, there may be many causes. One, maybe it could be that I'm not enabling the SSID. Oh yes, it's enabled, so the problem is not there. Another issue could be that I'm not broadcasting the SSID. Well, it's broadcasted. All right, but at least verify those two. That's the first step. Then if you go to, well, nowhere, right? The SSID should be everywhere, except if you are using a radio policy that is either incompatible with your client. For example, my client is 2.4 only, and my SSID is on 5 gig, or incompatible with my access points. For example, because my APs are all on 2.4 and my 5 gig network is disabled. So that could be an issue. So if you go back to monitor, you should see which AP is operating on which channel. And you see here, my APs on 5 GHz are not looking good. None of them are up. So that's another step you want to inquire on in the WLAN troubleshooting when that happens. Check where the radios are, and although that goes back to the access point, it generates into a WLAN issue. And there are a few ways you can disable radio. You can go to the access point itself, and here you can disable the entire access point, so nothing is going to be there. So if you have an AP in an area, and in that area the SSID is not valid, you may want to check if the status of the access point is enabled. If the access point is disabled, no radio will be on. All right, so in my case, it is not disabled, it's enabled. And by the way, it's only the radio, right? And if you see that some radios are on, but on the same AP, another radio is disabled, well, then maybe you want to check that radio. So if you go back to wireless, A, in my case, you see there is an admin status for the radio. And if I look at it, the admin status is enabled, which means that I can disable that one radio. If I go to the right side and go to configure, I can disable that specific radio, but I didn't. It's on because the status is enabled. Yet, the operational status is down, so it might be somewhere else. And the last place you want to look at, and it's probably the case here, is network. If the entire network is disabled, well, no access point radio on that band is going to be enabled. All right, that was my issue. That's the reason why my SSID was not working, because my radio network A was disabled globally. So you see, inquiring on WLAN issue may bring you further than just the SSID itself. And this is an interesting case because I did have some clients, and those clients were in the 2.4 GHz band. And I used an interesting client because that client was 5 gig only. So it couldn't get into the 2.4 version of the SSID. In many cases, though, you may have the other way around, where you have clients that are home clients and can only do 2.4 and they cannot see 5, but I find it funny to show you the exact opposite for a case.